Morning, Trainiacs. Happy New Year. Just on a Team Trainiac Zwift ride. And this is being done on December 31st. We had a heck of a turnout. So you know what? 2020 is over and we're starting off this year on an awesome note. I've talked about how I want to do more endurance adventures and do more single sport activities and do things that are just fun and exciting. Well, we've got a really fun and exciting project that I've got to tell you about. Unfortunately, I don't have to go through the hell of what it is. John Clark is a former UK's strongest man, and he, in 2021, is gonna run 48 marathons in 48 UK counties in 48 days. Guess who he decided he wanted to coach him? I mean, just off the bat, if you're doing a 48, 48, 48, you don't have good judgment. Oh! Yeah, we named that workout That's So Last Year. Totes my goats. So what we did there was 60-minute ride, 6-0. And we started off with a 7-minute warm-up, and then we did 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, all at 70 RPM, right at the top of zone 2, and then a 1-minute rest in between. We did that 4 times through, 5-minute cool down at the end, and that's your 60 minutes. If you don't know by now, I'm a big fan of low cadence work. It's not quite strength training for cycling. It's how you translate strength training into cycling and build muscular endurance. Just adding tension to the muscles are good, but you gotta ease into it. That's why we just did that at zone 2. Later in the summer, they'll be like right up close to FTP. But let me introduce you to John, and we're gonna start going on our first endurance adventure of 2021. This is gonna be a much better year. That's setting the bar pretty low. Okay, are you ready to introduce yourself to the world?
Oh, are we going now?
Yeah, this is it.
I'm doing my hair and makeup.
Yeah, well, we don't have the budget for makeup, as you can tell by my videos. Fill us in here. Why are you doing 48, 48, 48?
Well, there's quite a few different reasons. The main one is obviously the charity element. We raised a lot of money last month by getting people active and getting them running. When we were in lockdown, raised £10,000 for a local food bank, and then more and more people were asking, can we get involved? Can we do it as well? So we thought about maybe trying to set up a charity and then trying to have more positive impact on food poverty in England. So part of that charity was, well, how do we then spread awareness, and then how do we raise money? So then, yeah, long story short, it was, well, we need to take it on a road show. We need to take the Miles for Meals concept around the country. So let's go run a few miles in every part of the country. And then it just kind of spiraled. And then we probably watched too many 50-50-50 repeat of the Iron Cowboy.
You're listening to David Goggins way too much.
So, yeah, it's never been done in the UK. No one's run through the 48 counties over 48 days and done 48 marathons. And then, so, I mean, the main reason was for the charity element, but the secondary reason is purely selfishly to see whether I can do it. Obviously, we've spoken before on the podcast about my strongman background and being a powerlifter and once being 185 kilograms in body weight. So it was kind of a, not only can we become an endurance athlete, but also become an endurance athlete that's done something that no other endurance athlete has done in England. So yeah, so that's pretty much brings us full circle in terms of to today, and then obviously now planning the 48 days.
Do you have a website up yet, or should people just follow on Instagram for now?
Instagram is probably the most up to date at the minute. We're still waiting for the Charity Commission to approve us over here in the UK, but we do have milesformeals.co.uk as well. Which will have obviously updates and stuff on there. But for more real-time information, then yeah, my Instagram is probably the best bet for now.
Awesome. Any parting words to the Trainiacs? Or maybe they should have parting words to you, because training's starting right away.
Yeah, I think any advice or any guys that have run kind of multi-day endurance type stuff like this, any advice that they've got or anything they can pass on, then I'd love to know. Obviously, we've got Marathon des Sables in April as well, so we're going to have to do 5 consecutive days in the Sahara Desert. So I think that'll be a good litmus test. So again, if any of the Trainiacs have done Marathon des Sables, then I'd love to hear from them as well.
Well, this is going to be fun.
No, it's going to be a big challenge. We're looking forward to it.
Okay, so I just put together John's plan for week 1. I want to start off with like how we're going to build this. Basically, this is how you could build for anything. You could build this way for a trail run. This is similar to how I built for 2 marathon swims that I did of 27 and 37 kilometers, 17 and 24 miles. Just a kind of a sequential build that gives us a guideline of how much John needs to run based on his goal. So what we start doing is we look at the goal, and that is, the first one is the Marathon des Sables, and the big one is the 48-48-48. So we start working our way backwards from that, essentially getting ourselves to a point where, in his case, I want him running about 200K for 2 weeks in a row. If he can run 200K and he's built up to that, he can probably run 42K at a fairly slow pace with good recovery, with massages, 48 days in a row. And he's actually probably going to use the first bunch of days in those first few days of the 48-48-48 to continue to train. So it's probably like, well, what we saw with James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy, is that it took him a while to actually adjust to it, and then he started getting faster. And that's kind of what I'd expect, because, you know, we really just don't want John, as a big dude, running over distance runs for a 42K event that he's going to do back to back to back to back, which would be, well, let's just do that. 294K per week is what he'd do. So if you can run 200K in a week, you're pretty close. So we're going to build him up to that 200K week by the end of June. And then he's going to have 2 to 3 weeks of taper, just coming down. How we end up doing this is we do 2 weeks on, 1 week off. We might, if he can handle it, go 3 weeks on, 1 week off, and use heart rate variability to guide him and make sure that he's doing okay with that 3 weeks, but he's actually coming off a bit of a glute injury, so we want to really go as light as we can. So working backwards from that 200K, we work back and see what is a build, what's a ramp rate that we can increase at that is reasonable, which is usually somewhere in between about 7 to 10% at the top end. So working our way back, we can just kind of see, all right, well, you know, how far do we need to go? Do we need to get to that 10% and really ride the edge of what you build week to week? And the answer is yeah, because he's only got 6 months to train for it, and he's got the Marathon des Sables in between. We've got to ramp up fairly quick. So what I've got here in a perfect world is 59 kilometers this first week, then ramping up by 10%, the third week, a rest week, down to 60% of the previous high, then ramping up by 10%, then 60% of the previous high, just continuing on that. This is just kind of a guideline. I'm not really going to follow this exactly. Then once we get past the Marathon des Sables, I don't want to ramp up quite so high at that super high load, so we ramp up by 8% and then down 60%. And we start going up by 8%, and that is a good way to ramp up sequentially. We hope. Now, his training plan for week 1, first week in the new year, is going to be a lot lighter than we actually planned for, because we can see in his training peaks that he hasn't been running a whole lot, because his physiotherapist said that they wanted him to take some time off to make sure this glute heals really good and he's totally fresh coming into it. So what we've done here is I've flanked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with ride. We're substituting right now running with riding. So we're gonna have a recovery ride on Monday, a endurance focused ride on Friday, and then we're gonna put more of the intensity in between that. So there's gonna be a hill run on Tuesday, a optional general run to kind of recover from that on Wednesday, and then an intense run on Thursday. We're gonna have back-to-back runs on Saturday and Sunday. Normally, I would prefer that we start by breaking up runs, by not having runs on back-to-back days, but we've got to see a little bit how John does adjust to running on back-to-back days. How does it feel? But in doing that, we've kept these runs fairly short. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, and then we'll assess again. On the weekend, again, short, 50 minutes, then 70 minutes. And we're gonna see how he ends up feeling after running on these back-to-back days. I've also put in some required strength work. Him being a power lifter, he can do heavy work. So we're gonna put that heavy work into Wednesday because otherwise that is a fairly light day. So in that, I want him doing heavy deadlifts because the heavy load, it helps maintain bone mass, it helps maintain muscle mass, it helps maintain and improve your running efficiency. Heavy stuff like low reps, under 6 reps. And then we have throughout the week, sprinkled throughout, is we have 30-minute strength sessions here that are either a foundation workout that I've talked about before or the core 1 routine. So what we're doing right now is we're just focusing on building frequency, and then we're gonna kind of go back and forth every couple of weeks and see how we adjust to it. So there's a heck of a lot more to share, to plan, and to find out as we go. It's kind of like a bit of a guessing game right now, figuring out what his body can handle, what stimulus he needs, but we're just going to start him out really, really gently. Lots and lots of low intensity running, riding, and see how his body's able to absorb it. But yeah, go check him out on Instagram. He'll be documenting it there. I'll check in with him. We'll have him on the podcast occasionally and on YouTube so that you can follow along. But this is a super exciting thing, and I'm pretty honored that he chose to work with me. As he said, we're going to learn together, and he finds that exciting. So hopefully you've got something to learn. Let's go on a heck of an endurance adventure, Trainiacs. First one of the year. You know, just for shoots, let me know in the comments below what is an endurance adventure that you want to go on over the course of 2021. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. Later, Trainiacs.